Hi, my name's Zeke, Tumblr user ZekeBeast.
And I'm Nacho, Tumblr user Ponytail Being Nacho.
And today we have our very special guest, Chris P.
Mr.
Oh,
Yes.
am I supposed to talk?
Well, that's kind of the point of the interview, isn't it?
Hey, I'm Chris P. Hooray!
Hooray!
Yay!
And we're gonna be doing an exclusive fan interview with you today to talk about our very favorite show, Motorcity. So,
On Zeke and Nacho's Motorcity Rant Hour.
great. Okay, so we've got our 10 questions set up.
Right on.
So Nacho, you can start.
Oh, right. I'm starting, aren't I? All right.
Yes.
All right. So our first question is, what was the original inspiration for Motor City, and what influenced the story and the visual style of it?
This is a project I've been kind of ruminating on for many, many years. Kind of back when I was at MTV, I was coming off a show that I created back then called Downtown, which was about, kind of people hanging out in lower Manhattan, and was kind of thinking, well, I should start working on another show. And bizarrely enough, as corny as this sounds, I kind of had a dream about it, of these like crazy cars being like chased by these like kind of like pods that flew through the air. And I kind of thought about it the next day and thought like, well, it'd be cool if there was a show that was kind of set in Detroit and it was the future, and there was this kind of oppressive government that was kind of like a corporation that had devised a technology that's like superior to cars, but not as cool and not as fun and not as free. And they kind of used it to control people, to basically be evil, and kind of developed that. And it originally had sold it to MTV through this other company, and did an initial pilot for MTV that was a little bit more adult. And I think there's a trailer of that probably online somewhere.
Yes, there is one.
That made the rounds pretty early on as well.
Yes.
That was a rudimentary thing. Oh, hey, Max coming on in here. He's the People at Motor City guy. He just poked his head in. So so I kind of made that, and then it it didn't get picked up as a series at MTV. It kind of fell apart at that studio at that time, and I kind of sat on it for years and kind of half-heartedly pitched it around, thinking it would never happen. And then a guy I knew from Nickelodeon and got a cool job at Disney and was like, hey, you still got that Future Car show? That would probably make a good show. So I kind of dusted it off, and we redeveloped it for Disney, made it a little bit more like kid-friendly. Although as we went further, I think it kind of like, it started off, a lot more like a straight kids action show, and as we kind of, started making the episodes, we got to make a couple of crazy ones that weren't as kiddie. Is that a long-winded enough answer to your question?
Yeah. It's plenty long. So the influences of the show.
Oh yeah, the influences part, man. So many things.
We've heard
a
that
lot of like 80s action movies. I think, like definitely like Escape from New York, and The Road Warrior, and like even like early like 70s and 80s anime. Like I grew up on a lot of like really old anime, like the kind of first iterations, like Yamato, which was redubbed as Star Blazers, or Robotech, which was like a bunch of different things, Macross or whatever. I didn't know as a kid what it was, but I thought it was cool. And some of the even like later like kind of fun anime stuff that kind of led to like stuff that I consider to be like the Gynek style, like Project A-ko was a huge influence for me. And car stuff. Like I went to a lot of car shows as a kid. My dad was a big car guy. I worked in a garage, so a lot of car stuff.
Cool. We've heard rumors that Redline is like mandatory watching for working on the show.
Yeah, pretty much. Hey, before I answer that one, hey, Mac wanted to say something.
All right.
All right.
Hi guys. Hey.
just wanted to stop in real quick and say hello, but I also wanted to tell you that I posted on Tumblr as they're interviewing, so Chris should check his Twitter account because you might get some questions from people.
Oh, fresh. Okay.
Yes, I reblogged it on my blog.
Nice.
Cool.
All right.
I'll talk to you guys sometime in the next week or two.
All right.
Awesome.
See ya.
Thanks. Yeah, Redline, is an interesting. It's an interesting history I have with Redline because the really old Motor City trailer. We did. I directed the series Megas XLR for Cartoon Network, and when we were doing the pilot, we did the pilot with Madhouse, who would go on to do Redline. And when I was over there, I showed them the trailer to Motor City when Koike-san and Muramoto were, working on some other projects. So then when they started development on the Redline movie, they called myself and Jody Schaefer, who's one of the creators of Megas, to do character layout for Redline, because at the time, it's interesting how fast the world has gotten smaller, because at the time they felt Redline was such a Western style, that Koike's drawing style was so Western that they couldn't find people in Japan to draw like him. And now I think, the world is so small, people see Japanese art all the time. Japanese people see American art, people see French art, people see art from all over the world. And, it's kind of become more easier to find people drawing all different styles. So
It's become more accepted, more mainstream.
Exactly. So I've been familiar with Redline since its inception, and very, very supportive of it. And saw a lot of footage early on and footage that never made it into the movie. That's crazy, really crazy stuff. So I really liked the way they handled the cars in there. And although we did CG cars, we tried to give them a little bit more life than you would generally give like a TV EG car animal. So again, another long-winded answer.
Great, awesome. Okay. Okay. So how has Motor City evolved during the production of the show? We've heard that, like you just said, that as it started out as like a street kids fight club type of thing, and then it grew into something else. So
yeah, well, clearly we had to, we had to make it a kid show for Disney. So we knew we couldn't absolutely, do whatever we want. I mean, you really never can once you sell a show. And I got to say, the executives at Disney were really accommodating and cool, though. They're like, we want you to push it. We want you to make something different. We don't want you to make something that you think is Disney. But that being said, you can't do like a crazy show for, Adult Swim folks, because our, the main thing we do over here at Titmouse is Adult Swim shows. Some of the earlier scripts were a little too crazy. We had to tone them down a bit. There was one of the early Texas scripts that was pretty insane. But then I think we got back there through production. Like there's one episode, Threat Level Texas, that was essentially designed to be a way for us to kind of give us a breathing room in the schedule, because it reused a lot of elements from previous episodes. But I was kind of initially against doing a clip show, but the angle, the writers brought me that angle. They're like, hey, what if we do it through Texas's point of view? And it's just insane. It's crazy. And that, to me, that's my favorite episode, as far as like it goes, as far as I would have liked to have gone, with the series in its, kind of comedy and insanity, and just kind of throwing logic to the wind.
I'm a little curious to hear more about that Texas script you mentioned.
Oh yeah, it was originally called Airtime, and it was basically Kane. In the beginning, the burners save. There's this kind of pod of like people that are kind of about to crash to the ground in Deluxe. The burners save them, and a lot of the citizens of Deluxe are, they are afraid or angry that the burners are there because they've absorbed all of Kane's propaganda. But the children are happy. They're like, look at these cool people that saved us. Kane kind of looks at that footage and he's like, we don't have everybody. Like, we need to make the the children hate the burners, so he decides to make this propaganda show against the burners and makes these kind of like, cartoonified, like, like Teletubbies-esque, like burner characters that are kind of like puns on the burners' names, and they act really stupid. Like Spike Chilton is the main dude. He's like a dog, and he's essentially there's a host to this children's show called Radley Radisson, who's like a little kid Kane. He's got a ponytail like Kane, and his ponytail talks. It kind of has a little like personality. So his talking ponytail is like one of the characters. Essentially, what ends up happening is Texas is jealous of Mike. They try to launch an assault on the show. Texas gets mistaken for one of the actors on the show and gets put in Spike Chilton outfit, and he gets recognition for being famous as Spike Chilton. And when Mike tries to tell him this is a bad idea, he's like, "You're just jealous because I'm the new guy that everybody likes. Spike Chilton is better than Mike Chilton." And then ultimately it's revealed that Kane's plan was he gives these little ponytails to all the kids in Deluxe, and they have to implant them into their like spinal cord at the base of their neck, and then he can control their minds. And there's a point where he's going to broadcast this like super mind control thing, and Texas finds out about it, and he's like, "Well, I'm not evil, so now I got to fight you, Kane." And then Radley Radisson, it turns out it's not a little boy, he's a horrifying transforming robot, and they have a battle to the death. Burners have been lifted atop in Deluxe. There's a tall building that this is being broadcast, like it's taller than Kinko Tower or high above it. So the burners can't get there by conventional car driving means. Then they had found an old transport helicopter. So Jacob flies them up through Deluxe in a helicopter and airdrops the cars onto the antenna. So they have a kind of battle on the antenna as Texas battles the Radley Radisson. Anyway, there's a lot of
What? I'm sorry, you just cut out a little bit.
I said that's probably a longer answer than you wanted.
Oh no, that was perfect.
That was really great. Okay.
So that one didn't get approved.
Shame.
That's a shame. Yeah.
And elements of the character story were then taken to use in Texasify It, which was the story with the Terra Dwellers and Kaya. Mm-hmm. So that's like, we kind of use Texas' same character story. Like, I don't get to use, you don't use any of my cool ideas, but these people like me. But then they trick him, and then he realizes they're the bad guys.
Yeah.
Essentially, it's the same guts.
Nice. It's cool to see these things develop like that. You see which parts get reused and things.
Yeah.
Like, for example, one thing that's like famous for being cut and then being put in again is the sixth burner Holly / Tenny.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what happened there exactly? It's just a...
Wait, what? What?
Wait, we've heard like a lot of stuff about there being the
gotcha.
sixth burner.
That was early development. Like, there was a character called Holly. Like, initially, when we were developing the pilot, essentially, it's a boys' network, it's a boys' action show, and we were told that we had too many female characters. So we had to kind of like slim them down. Essentially, it was slimmed down to only Julie, and then we kind of snuck Claire back in the series. Claire was not in the pilot. She was, initially cut. But the dynamic initially was that there was a burner character who grew up in Motor City who was more suspicious of Julie, who was like, kind of always questioning her. She would be a constant threat to Julie's secret. She would be like, "Why are you hanging around with her? She's from Deluxe. I don't trust her. This is a bad idea." And she'd be a constant source of a conflict in the group, but she never made it to the series. Tenny wasn't really derived from her at all. She kind of came about independently.
Ah, okay. Nice to have that secret the mystery is solved now.
All cleared up.
Yeah. Okay.
Right on.
All right. Next question.
Yes. Wait,
Yes.
we keep asking questions that aren't on the list. Oops.
Yeah.
Who cares? It's like really awesome to find these things out, and I'm sure everybody is really interested in them.
Cool. Hope so.
All right, so how much creative control did the animators have over the show?
I came from, I've worked my way up in animation as an artist in a lot of the different seats on the floor. I came up through storyboard revisions and storyboards, but I also worked as an animator, frequently in jobs. So I gave the animators way more freedom than I think they're given in any other show, except maybe Super Jail. We give them a similar amount of freedom. Because the fact that we did most of this show, in the States, at least in North America, I'd say about 50% in LA, 25% in New York, and 25% in Canada. So there was no language barrier, there was no shipping, there was no exposure sheets, if you're familiar with all this technical stuff. It was just all direct communication with the animators and myself and Juno. We tag teamed every other episode, and he's another guy who's he can animate and he knows what he's doing. So we just have daily sessions with the animators, so they show us their work and we give them pointers and show them where they're going. But if they're doing great stuff, we just tell them keep doing it, as long as it serves the story and doesn't take us off topic. They would amaze me every day with how far they can push it for TV animation.
That's really cool, and that's really inspiring, actually. I know that like a lot of fans, as well as us both, are like really into animation, and like Motor City was like this beautiful dream.
Yeah.
You're gonna get a lot of kids in the next few years coming up to you and saying, "Hey, I watched Motor City and it really inspired me to become an animator," and things like that. I'm betting it.
Yeah. Motor City. Oh, sorry.
I was going to say, I hope so, because that's who I wanted to impress, were other animators and artists. Maybe too much, it's like the show was made for kids, but, for us, we were trying to make it for our peers.
As someone who is actually in school for animation, Motor City actually, and the podcast especially, actually kind of boosted my own confidence and helped me kind of realize that I was at the wrong school for the wrong part of the industry. And so I'm just really grateful for that, personally.
Cool. I'm glad.
Yeah.